think we're live. Stand by. 1, 2, 3. I'm Glenn, City of Island Fishing Field Team. Oh, my bad. I'm Glenn, Real Cast Fishing Podcast. Let's just do it over. Ready, set, go. All right. Bear with me. I'm still trying to get the podcasting thing going. So let's try it again. Welcome back to Real Cast Fishing Podcast. Your host, Glenn, with the City of Island Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team on YouTube. And this round, what have I got for you? Well, we're closing out 2023 with a trip to Waterloo up in Denison. And yours truly had it was a little tough, but I was able to catch a fish or two, at least to close out the year. So with that, let's go and take a run to Waterloo, Denison, up in Denison, Texas. Okay, so I'm starting out with a 3-weight, and let's see if I can pause this a little bit. Yeah, I start out with a 3-weight fly rod. It's the one from Orvis that I picked up that I'm trying to use. It's a 10-foot 3-weight, and we're hitting up Waterloo. You can see there's a lot of construction that they just started up with, I believe, just in the last year, and it looks like they're getting some new paths and whatnot. But the key thing here is, I planned on fishing that little pond where you just see a little fountain and whatnot. And the intent was, I was going to go over there and see if I could catch test a new fishing fly variant that I picked up from one of our subscribers, suggesting, hey, you can use a squirmy worm, that the tail, tie it with a nymph body, and that works out really well. So, I tried it, and it turned out the fish were not in the biting mood, at least for any of the normal flies that I was using. So let me go ahead and go with the video here. All right, so I'm walking up to Waterloo, checking out the pond. I can see it's fairly clear, some good movement. Put on a strike indicator about 2 or 3 foot from there. And it turns out they didn't want any of those flies. But luckily, they were hitting this Griffith's gnat, and in fact, I got a couple of hits off it, but then I lost it. But luckily, I found the Crackleback, and I was able to luck into a trout with the Crackleback. And I did a variant of the Crackleback. It's got a grizzly hackle, and I was able to get one to strike. And here's just a view of one of what I was dealing with. In fact, here, let me go bring it back a little bit. Right here, you'll just see a trout. Let me go and rewind it. You'll just see a trout on the left side of the screen coming out, and that's what they were doing. They were just feeding on whatever was biting, or correction, whatever was hatching. And they just seemed to be the size 16 Griffith's gnat that I only had one in my fly box. So Murphy's Law had it that you're going to lose that one. So sure enough, I did. Switched over to the Crackleback, got a hit there, got another hit, and then landed one. And then tried mixing it up a little bit when it kind of died down again, and tried this other Crackleback and was able to get this guy to hit. And there's a view of the Crackleback. Let me see if I can show it to you again. Okay. There's the trout. There's the Crackleback. That's the one that was actually catching the flies, but I did get some hits off of the grizzly hackle variant of it. That squirmy tail nymph, it got a couple of strikes, but it just didn't do it. But I tried some other fishing flies as well, ones that normally do well, and they didn't do. They weren't getting bit as well. They wanted dry flies, so that was the lesson learned this round. So on this trip, the main thing I was trying to do was try testing that squirmy tail nymph, and also as a second goal, I brought my underwater camera. I just wanted to see what the PowerBait was going to be doing, and see if I can get some good views of the trout underwater, because I've done this before here. So I'm showing in this video, I got some power bait. I'm gonna toss the Water Wolf camera in the water, and immediately I'm noticing there's some trout coming about mid-depth to the lower part of the water column. Go right by. I believe they're actually looking at my camera and looking at it before it hits the bottom and disappears in the greenery. And so the big takeaway with seeing all this greenery and stuff is the suggestion being put on a Carolina rig and set up your power bait about 2 to 3 feet from there and adjusting. So here's another cast on there, and about mid-depth again, there's a trout staring right at the camera. All right, and then I switch, or I keep going, and you'll just see one kind of go by, as well as a turtle that's kind of staring at my camera as well. And in fact, you'll just see a glimpse of it in the video as it goes by, kind of feet or fins going by. Well, I think he may have took some of my bait. Anyhow, I bring it in, and as I'm bringing it in, I notice the trout are chasing the power bait. So a couple of lessons learned that I'll touch on here shortly. But I cast again, this time immediately getting some more of these trout, looking at my power bait setup, and then hitting the bottom, and at that point it's a done deal there. So let's see. So bottom line, what I noticed was, when it came to these trout, taking a look at my power bait rig, the big takeaway was set up that Carolina rig about 2 to 3 feet, and then adjust. If you're not getting any hits, give it more line, because really clobbered bottom, and that was a key thing, having this Water Wolf camera. Let me think. The other piece that you want to keep in your back pocket is, be sure to provide some movement. Give it, maybe troll it in a little bit, or drag it, sort of how you would fish a plastic worm, where you cast it out, let it hit bottom, and then just kind of drag and lift, because I noticed a lot of trout activity, or at least trout were chasing the power bait, as well as this power worm that I set up afterwards. And so that was the trip for 2023. And the big takeaway there that I wanted to let folks know is, well, we got 2, and they wanted dry flies, and of course the size fly that I wanted and needed, the pattern, was the one that ended up losing. I did try using some of that Carmex chapstick stuff to use as a dry fly floating, and it worked well. Just again, I lost the fly, and well, I had to go to the Crackleback, and that, luckily I was able to catch some fish there. So, all right, I just wanted to touch base with this Let's Talk Fishing Closeout 2023 with 2 trout, and do some key takeaways from that. Specifically, one, be sure to have your dry flies when they're striking on top and they're feeding on the upper part of the water column, if not right on the surface. Definitely have some Griffith's gnat, at least for Waterloo. Over the course of the years, I've noticed Waterloo tends to have some kind of hatch that happens in the later part of the day, and having that right size fly is usually key. And size 16, size 18, Griffith's gnat, you're good to go. I was using this huge Crackleback on a size, I'd say 10 hook, and I was able to get those 2. I did get a bunch of misses though. And then if you are going out there with power bait, definitely set up a Carolina rig, start 2 to 3 feet, and then adjust from there. And then the other thing is, if you're not getting any bites, or at least quick bites, do try dragging that rig through the water and get that movement, because And you see in that video, you can see the trout just chasing after it. In fact, here, I'll go back to the video real quick. And for those on the podcast, what I'll describe is, well, I'll describe what I'm seeing or what I'm demoing here. So let's see. See if I can take it right. Okay, here we go. So you see how it's floating to the bottom, the camera, and the trout are reacting to the camera and that movement. And I'll go show another one. I think this one will be a good one here. It's sinking. It's all murky. And then sure enough, there's one, two. There's a trout staring right at the camera itself. And then he chases off, maybe swims off, continues on. And oh, there's a turtle that looks at it next. Anyhow, that was some of the key takeaways this round. So that was the fun to close out 2023. Until then, we'll just go ahead and close out this impromptu, real quick, close out 2023 Let's Talk Fishing episode. All right. All for now. Next time we'll catch you all later, and good luck and good fishing.